The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to A Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. I'm your host, Miesha Shanell. I am so excited, you guys. Thank you so much for your continued support. It's been almost a year that you've been coming on weekly, bi-weekly and subscribing and commenting and keep coming back. That's warms my heart. I really appreciate you. I love you so much. Today's show, I'm going live, guys. So I'm trying something new. I'm going live on Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. And this is the first time that I've ever done anything like that. So I'm pretty excited. I'm watching it from my phone as well so I can comment because the engineer has it up in the front. So if you hear bings and dings, ignore it because I got a lot going on over here. But it's going to be fun and I'm excited. But today, so you guys know we are in episode 2 of our dating series. So in lieu of Valentine's Day and Black History Month, I wanted to tie in some Black love or just love all together. But before I move on, I gotta show you guys my dress. So my dress is pretty cool. I got to give a shout out to my peeps. But look at my dress, my shirt. It says, everything is going to be all right. It is a full length dress with colors and pattern. It is absolutely beautiful. I want to give a shout out to my girl and my guy, Filthy Rags, David and Gaynell, my family. Thank you for this, for my beautiful custom dress. It is absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to take a full length picture and post it to the page so you guys can see it. So thank you. Also, you guys have been asking me about my haircut. I've been getting so many inquiries about my haircut. And yes, I am in love with my hair. It is still evolving. It's an ever-evolving vessel. But got to give my shout outs to my boy, KG Superstar from Blade Barbershop in North Hollywood. He is my barber. He's been my barber for 10 years. Every little short haircut that I've had, guys, on my page, on my Instagram page, if you look at it, you'll see it. KG Superstar. Thank you, guys. But now let's get on with our show. So I'm excited about our show today. As you guys know, I was actually talking to Felicia today before the show, and we were talking about today's topic, and it registered with her today that I've been married 25 years of my 40 years of, I was married for 25 of my 40 years, 2 marriages. And this is the first time that I'm single, without a husband or even responsibilities. Yes, I still have a college student and he still needs me, but for the most part, it's just me and my little puppy, Rebecca. So for me to date now, dating is different, a lot different for me now because I married twice, back to back, through childhood trauma. I trauma bonded very quickly to my husband, and I was able to get out of one and jump into the other because I wasn't 100% healed and on the mend to even register or even try to be anybody's wife again, let alone mom for the first time with no real support from family. That was a lot. But now this time around, it's been 5 years and I've had extensive therapy. In fact, I am an advocate for therapy. As you guys know, I believe in it. for both myself and my son. Without therapy, I don't think I would have gotten to this place. I know I needed the help that I receive, and I still do. I'm not ashamed to say it. When I feel triggered, I go to therapy, which we all should. It's not a stigma attached to you. It's just as if you were playing a sport and you needed some extra support with, let's say, baseball. You get a batting coach. That's how therapy is for me. If I gain a little weight, I'll go work out. I get a trainer. Therapy is the same way. So if you have never had therapy, I suggest you try. So with that being said, I am not a therapist, didn't go to school to become a therapist. That is not my forte. But I brought in an expert today who is going to talk to us and help us through. So the first episode, just to recap, we talked about the vulnerable Black woman. And my show is intended for all people, but I like to talk to Black women. And so I brought in an expert so she could really go deep with us and teach us about healing ourselves. So that's what I was saying. So it was a vulnerable Black woman. And in order to really open yourself up and be ready for love, you have to be vulnerable. So the first episode for the dating series talked about that, right? So now episode number 2, we are going to talk about loving our flaws. So yes, we are all flawed. Some of us hide our flaws a little bit better than others. Some of us, I call them fig leaves, put things on to cover up our flaws. But at the end of the day, we are who we are, and God made us who we are. And so it's okay to embrace our flaws in a healthy way. And so I brought in Wendy Witmore from the Healing House. She's a marriage family therapist. She is going to come in and discuss with us what is loving our flaws. Wendy, what I really love about Miss Witmore, is that she's a sister girl. She's very loving. She's the most transparent therapist that I know. That's why I really like her, is because she isn't afraid to be open and be human and to show us that, hey, we all have some things. Her transparency is one of the reasons that I thought that she would be great on the show. And the fact that she's been married for 21 years is also pretty dope, because that's what I aspire to have one day. So without further ado, I'm going to allow Miss Wendy Witmore to come in and tell us who she is. Hey, girl.
Hello, everybody. So it's funny that you talk about transparency, right?
Hey!
Because this morning, my mother, which is why you guys see me in a bedroom, usually my little setup is a little more professional, but I'm at my mom's house in her spare bedroom. So my mother reached out to me this morning and told me that my uncle had a heart attack and that he's on a ventilator. So I canceled my clients for today and came over to be with my mom. But, honestly, when we talk about being flawed, my immediate response, and I had to just take a minute and pause. My immediate response was I was angry. I was ticked off. I was triggered because 2 years ago, my father had a heart attack and, he passed away 3 months after the heart attack. So I was completely triggered. And so, a lot of time. And so I could not be anything for anybody in that moment. My mom was calling. I told my husband, I said, you got to talk to her and let her know I'm on my way. I told my children, her grandchildren, to reach out to grandma because in that moment, my own stuff was coming up. And so I needed to take care of myself. And, at first I was like, I felt bad. But then, that's a part of embracing your flaws, is making sure that you are staying open and loving yourself, because if you don't embrace your flaws, I would have punished myself for being triggered and for feeling the way I felt earlier this morning. So with all that being said, my name is Wendy Witmore. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I own a business called WLW Healing House. It stands for Wendy's Life Wellness. And we offer both traditional and non-traditional therapeutic services. Thank you, Ms. Mai, for having me on today. And let's talk.
First of all, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for showing up, because you didn't have to. And thank you for even sharing that with us to let us know what you're going through. But you showed up, and I appreciate you. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. So I'm here to chat, girl. It is definitely no accident that we were chosen to do this today. And I want you to just talk to us. Tell us who you are. Tell us who is Wendy.
So I am a compassionate, community-driven conversationalist, right? So what does that mean? That means that like my level of empathy is probably why being a therapist comes so natural for me, because I was given unconditional love by my stepdad, who I called dad. When I was 7 years old, he met my mother. Okay. And so I was never called a stepchild. I was never called anything like that. He always said his daughter. And so that level of unconditional love taught me how to give that to others. Conversationalist, because I love to talk, if y'all can't tell. I love having a really great conversation. And I love my community. I love us. One of the reasons that I started the Healing House, I actually just cut the ribbon on February 3rd, which happened to be the day that I witnessed my father taking his last breath. Wow. Part of the reason for the Healing House is for a place for the community to come to heal their spirit, soul, mind, and body. So who is Wendy Witmore? I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a niece, I'm a sister. I'm all of those things, but most importantly, I love people, and I love my people probably the most.
You're pretty phenomenal. Tell us where the Healing House is, and talk to us about the Healing House before we tap into our subject.
The Healing House is located at 1060 East Foothill Boulevard, Suite 204 in Upland, California. I, along with a staff of 9 other wellness collaborators, we have a doula for maternal health and wellness. We have a holistic health coach. I have a therapist who does hypnotherapy. I have another therapist that does EMDR. I have another therapist that is licensed in yoga. And so we have a class called Body Emotion that we're going to be offering. Oh my goodness, there's so much. We have animal therapy we're going to be offering. We're going to be offering musical expression therapy, artistic expression therapy. I'm just so excited. Like, I literally just cut the ribbon. So like, I'm still floating, y'all. Still floating. This has been phenomenal. A blessing.
Yes. So you have a true healing house. It is exactly what you say it is. Tell us, like, at what age were you inspired? How did you know? When did you know that you wanted to be a therapist?
So I went to therapy when I was younger, because I had quite a bit of trauma as a teen. And I even actually ran away from it in college. And then one of my professors was like, I really think you should think about being a therapist. And I was like, I ain't trying to listen to folks' problems all day. And then one day it just hit me. And I just really started to embrace like that this was really what I was supposed to do. I was meant to hold space for others, because God blessed me with this amazing ability to be compassionate, even for those that others choose not to be compassionate for. So I was probably about 21 when I really started to take this serious, and I started practicing at 25. And I'm 41 now, so I've been practicing for, 16, 17 years?
Yes.
I don't know. My brain is a little foggy today, y'all, so forgive me for the math.
So I consider you an expert. So I still am relishing in the conversation that we had prior to today. We talked Saturday, and you came up with this term. Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
You can? Okay. You came up with this term, radical self-care.
Yes.
Can you please share what radical self-care is for you?
So basically, one of the things that I really started to focus on back when I was 28 or maybe 29, I was diagnosed with a chronic condition. And because of it, I've had 4 procedures on my bladder. And so traditional self-care, like when we start to think about self-care, we think about nails, hair, massages, all that good stuff. And all that's great, but radical self-care is literally placing barriers in place. Barriers mean that you prevent access, and that regardless of the person, place, or thing, that good old noun, right? Relationships, situations, and environments, that your barriers are not crossed. And so radical self-care is not only having your boundaries, which are the limits for which you will deal with things, but also making sure that you have your barriers in place, which means that you prevent access for certain things. So radical self-care is a combination of barriers, boundaries, and showing compassion and grace for yourself. So that's what I consider radical self-care.
That is awesome. So you mentioned the spirit, soul, mind, and the body, right? You remember that when you told me that? And I was like, what? So tell us, because I learned a great deal from you from our conversation. It was like you were speaking to my spirit, and I was like, wow. I knew that it was a reason for us working together, but you never know until the reason hits you, right? So when I was talking to you, I was like, so basically you were giving me some things that I still need that I haven't gotten yet. Right. And so you came and gave me some nuggets. And so I want to share those nuggets. I want you to explain to them the difference between the spirit and the soul and the mind and the body.
All right. So I practice what's called 360 care. So I believe in treating the whole being. So your spirit is your character. It's the essence of who you are, right? So for example, I'm an omnivore. So I'm both an intro and extro. But if I start to be extremely like introverted, I'm acting out of character. Like that's not my spirit, because I usually go from one to the other, right? Yeah. I'm very introverted when I kind of need a recharge. And then I'm extroverted because I love community. So when I start acting out of character, that means that something is affecting my spirit. When you think about your soul, think about the soles of your feet. It's what keeps you grounded and rooted. So the soul is the house also, right? It houses the being. It houses the spirit, the mind, and the body. So when you think of spirit, it's the character and the essence of who you are. And when you think of your soul, it's the house, and it's what keeps you rooted and grounded. When you think of your mind, right, clearly, that you're dealing with your mental and emotional state. And then when you think about your body, you think about how the spirit, soul, and mind affect your body and how you move. And so as a therapist, it's important for me to treat the full 360, spirit, soul, mind, and body.
Yes, man. That was good. Yes. Because you feel like I knew, like, I feel like you can work on your body, right? You can work on your mind. You can work on your soul to be a better person, and your spirit can be shifted. But to think of them all working together to give you this whole piece, like this, it's like, okay, so once you have the barrier, all these things lined up, and you can breathe through them, I think that you're on a good start, right? A good track. I feel like with that, if you're still, and you tell me if I am wrong, because I'm no expert and I don't claim to be, but what I'm saying, what I'm about to, is what I want to say, is I feel like once you're there, then you can tap into date now. Like you can open yourself up to a relationship. You can figure out if that is something that you want to do, because you're open, right? You're vulnerable.
Right. One of the things that I think people don't realize is that relationships and friendships, just relationships in general, right? Whether they're platonic or they're romantic, one of the reasons that they don't work is because we don't walk into them being very intentional. We just know that there's an attraction, right? Even in a platonic friendship, there's some type of chemistry or attraction that makes you guys, find one another. But the thing we have to remember is that chemistry is combustible. And so you don't only want chemistry, right? In this engagement with somebody. Right. So making sure that you know your barriers and that you have set your boundaries, which are your limits, allows you to walk into any relationship whether it be platonic or romantic, kind of really knowing who you are so that you don't lose yourself as you are engaging with this person, so that you guys can grow together in the relationship, right? Because if you don't really know who you are and the other person has a stronger personality, you tend to kind of melt into them, or vice versa. Or if you both are kind of like, then you guys both are kind of like, and like there's no growth. And so in every relationship, you don't want to be stagnant. You want to make sure that you're having continual growth. So it's really important to know your boundaries, which are your limits, and your barriers, which are where you say, hey, this is not negotiable, in order for you to be open to even engaging in any type of relationship. It's really important.
So talk to us about barriers, because we hear boundaries a lot. I know in therapy, we use boundaries. Wait, that you're against my boundaries, or I don't like that you're in my boundaries. But we don't really hear the term barriers. Right. Like, address that. Like, speak on what the difference between boundaries and barriers are.
All right. So I'm going to read this to y'all. Okay. So if you Google the word barrier, right, you'll find several definitions. But the key component in all of the definitions that they give you is preventing access. So a barrier is preventing access. And when we think about it in the therapeutic world, it's your non-negotiables. They never change regardless of the relationship, environment, or situation. A boundary is the limit that you set. So you set a limit of how much you'll deal with. You set a limit of what you'll tolerate. If you look up the definition for boundary, in every single one, they give you like maybe 2 or 3. It's a limit, right? Yeah. So you want to have your limits established, and you also want to know when you're going to prevent access. So let me give you a definition. Let me give you a breakdown. So say, for example, there's 3 components to a barrier. There's the necessities, which are your needs. There's your wants, and there's your desires. All right, so let me break them all down. Necessities are what you need to honor your self-care. Okay, take note, y'all. I'm literally giving y'all some great free therapy. This is some nugget upon nuggets. So necessities are what you need to honor your self-care. Wants are the action of practicing what you need to honor your self-care. And I'm going to give you an example. And then your desires is what you should desire to continue to seek so that you can continue to grow and heal. So for example, when I started thinking about my barriers after I was diagnosed with a chronic illness, and I'm a therapist, so I hold space. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm my mother's only child. I had to start thinking about what I needed in order to honor my radical self-care. So what I started thinking about was my time, okay? My time is extremely valuable, right? I'm 41 now, and I've realized throughout the years that time, you don't get it back. When you're young, you're just out here, you living, you doing your thing. So for me, time is a need, time to detach. So my need is time to detach from work and make sure that I'm checking in with and on myself, right? That's my need. So how did I do that? So the action of that is setting times of day where I check in. And then depending on where I'm at, I adjust my day to fit what I need.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then the desire for me was creating a schedule that allows me to do that. Yeah. So one of the things that I did was I stopped seeing clients on Fridays. Okay. I only do meetings. And I may go teach, like do a workshop or something in the community. And one of the reasons is because I was finding that on Saturdays, I was still reeling from everything from the week with my clients. So I needed time to detach. So Fridays became my time to detach so I could go into my weekend only dealing with my stuff, and all the stuff I was holding space for with clients, I was able to process that on Friday. Yeah. Does that make sense? How barriers work?
Yes. Thank you. That is good. Thank you. You had me over here writing notes. Girl, I got necessities, wants, and desires. I'm writing notes. So if there's anybody that wants to call in and talk to Wendy, you can call in. We would love to chat with you if you like to call. The number's on the screen. So with that, let's get into, thank you. Thank you for being obedient, sister, for coming on and giving us this, because it's definitely needed. But without further ado, let's get into our topic and let's talk about loving our flaws. And so with this topic, I allowed Miss Witmore to give us what she wanted to give us today in regards to the love topic. And her suggestion was loving our flaws. So talk to us about loving our flaws.
So I'll use myself as the tool, right? So I said to you guys that, this morning when I got the call from my mother, one of the things that I know about myself is that I'm extremely drawn into my emotions. I'm very much in touch with my emotions. And I remember growing up, people would tell me, oh, you're just too sensitive. You carry your heart in your hands. You always got your heart on your shoulders. And so I had to learn that was actually one of my strengths. For others, they deem it as a flaw. For me, it's a strength because it's what allows me to be extremely compassionate. But I know a lot of times the things that people consider our flaws, we take that in and we actually start believing that we is just really screwed up around here. I mean, I used to think that if I cried, I would apologize. Like something would be really sad and I would cry and I'd be like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being so sensitive. I'm sorry for crying. And it's like, wait a second. In order for me to continue to grow as a woman, as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend, as a therapist, I need to make sure that the thing that people are telling me is a flaw, that I'm owning it and using it the best of my ability to make myself a better person. So say, for example, if one of your flaws is that people have told you talk too much. Well, how about the fact that at least you're willing to communicate? So embracing your flaw is saying, you know what, I may talk too much a little bit and I may need to be like, Wendy, be quiet. You probably don't need to say nothing right now. But at least acknowledge the fact that you're willing to be open and communicate with folks. So embracing your flaws is extremely important because it allows you to love your whole self. Yes. Like ain't nobody gonna love you like you love you. Your mama love you. I know my mama love me and I love my heartbeats. But as they're becoming adults, they have to love themselves more than I love them. Yes. And they have to love themselves, spirit, soul, mind, and body. That full 360, every flaw, every setback they have in life, they have to embrace it. Because for you to embrace it means that you won't allow yourself to fail. You may flail, right? But you won't fail. You'll pick your behind up and you're going to keep it pushing. That's how I see embracing your flaws.
Yes. So tell me, what do you think? How do you contribute social media right now to really understanding or embracing your flaws? Do you feel like social media allows you the opportunity to really embrace who you really are? No, ma'am.
It's so funny. Social media is huge, right? It's how we stay connected. Yes. But unfortunately, there are so many adults, specifically women, and I'm saying this because I got 3 girls and I'm a woman, right? Mm-hmm. But there are so many women. We talk about from yay high to this high, and I'm talking about age, not height, y'all. Who they dream about being like a Kardashian. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, why? Mm-hmm. So you now are not embracing your flaws and who you are because you're trying to look like him, or better yet, and I love me some Megan Thee Stallion, right? Okay. But I'm 41 and I didn't have some kids. I'm not supposed to look like Megan. I'm not supposed to look like her because guess what? When she's 41 and has some babies, she probably not going to look like her 20-something-year-old self. Exactly. So it's so difficult when we see these images of how we're supposed to look and the kind of car we're supposed to drive, what we're supposed to be doing. And, it's not our life. And so now we're trying to measure up to this image, this idea of what people think we should be and how we should look. Mm-hmm. And it's just so disheartening, right? It's so disheartening because now you can't truly embrace everything about yourself because you're constantly trying to change who you are.
Yeah, thank you for that because I'm with you. Social media is the way of the world, but you have to get to a place where you don't, how can I say it? You don't need social media to live. And as I see, it can be addicting and it gets to a place where if you can catch yourself getting caught up if you don't get the likes or if you don't get the, oh my God, no one's responding. I just posted this post. For instance, we can use the show as an example. If I were worried about how many likes I got on a picture, how many comments I received, how many people were live on the show, I would have probably quit episode 2, 3. Mm-hmm. But we're on 20. And I got to a place where I stopped worrying about what other people thought. And a lot of times it comes from how you were raised, really, or what you were exposed to, who poured into you. Did you get connected, as you said, to your spirit, soul, mind, and body? And then as you grow up, you get to this place where now you are altering your body and to feel better, and to thinking that if you don't have a certain hair length or a hair texture or a hair color or skin color then you're not good enough. And that is one of the sickest and saddest truths that anybody could say to themselves. I just wanted us to like delve into it and tap into that and really be 100% transparent with the topic, because what I'm learning as being a newly single woman is hard, especially dating. I'm still hopeful and optimistic. Being a 45-year-old woman dating again for the first time. Now there's so many terms have changed. People are openly talking about their sexuality. There's this thing which was always around polygamy or polyamory. That's a huge
polyamorous relationships.
Polyamorous relationships right now are huge. And they're talking about it. And when you've been married and you've been with one person and now you're like, what? Huh? I can have two for what? It's like it's like a thing. And if you're not really connected to your soul, body, mind, and spirit, like you get caught up. So embracing your flaws has to really, basically what you're saying is that you got to know who you are and being okay with the skin that you're in. Correct? Can you hear me? Oh, she froze. Okay. You there, girl? Well, she'll come back. So we'll just keep talking. I'll just babble on because I'm like she said, I talk a lot. That's why I'm on the show. So with that, for instance, you have to get to a place where somebody said you make being divorced look easy. And at first I kind of like got offended by that because I'm like, I make it look easy. What do you mean? You don't know how I feel within here. On the outside looks totally different from the inside because we can hide and fake our pain on the outside. But what you cannot fake is how you feel on the inside. Your inside will come out and exude onto everything. And so when she said that I make it look easy, she basically was talking about the exterior of me, and that offended me because I don't want to make divorce look easy because it's not. It is and was very difficult to get through. But I had to do the work on myself because remember, as I mentioned earlier, I got married twice through trauma bonds. Never gave myself the time, the opportunity to heal myself. Otherwise, I would be doing the same thing. I could be married again for the third time, fourth time, but then that's like you're never, ever going to learn a mistake. So, I mean, not a mistake. I won't say my marriages were a mistake. That's terrible. They weren't mistakes. They were just situations that I got into prematurely. Had I worked through them the healthy way, they probably would have been, the first one would have been lasting. And I wouldn't have needed the second one. But we're just going to check in. Let me check in with Wendy, and then I'll get back to him and take a little 5-second break. And I'm going to check in with Wendy because she's probably trying to reach us. All right, be right back. We are back, guys. Thank you. We had to check on Wendy. She got booted out. So I need to check on my girl. She is back in now. Wendy, you there? There you go.
I'm here. I was on my laptop for whatever reason. It wouldn't let me back. So now I'm on my phone. So I hope the quality
Oh,
is
it's
still
good.
just good.
It's actually clear. Okay. It's really clear.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's really good. Where were we? We were talking about
social media.
Social media. So, what I was saying is, if I cared about how many likes I got or how many people checked in and wrote comments, I would have quit a long time ago. But when you're doing things for yourself, for your own purpose, you don't worry about it. It's almost like you have on blinders, and you stay focused on what the objective is. And you just stay consistent, and all those things that you think that you need will come, and you won't even have to work for them. God will just drop them down on you. So I say, if you're addicted to social media, I know people that are like doing this, like checking in and on Facebook and social media, all these platforms every single day. It's like a job. My thing is, if it is a job, hopefully you're making money off of it. But if you're not, that's like wasted to me.
Lot of work.
That's a lot of work for no money. And I feel like, I'm not judgmental, but like check. There has to be some self-check on what's driving you to do that. Right. So with dating, girl out here dating. Valentine's Day. I had a great Valentine's Day. But it's I'm finding it difficult to meet, like, how can I say this? Like, I like black men, right? I've never dated outside of my race. I have no desire to date other, like, not at all. Like, I am a black man's lover. Like, I love the king, right? But in my dating, I am noticing that black men, not all, I'm not saying all, but we black men have to do some work on themselves, because I don't know if it's that they have a lot of options and they're not willing to put in the work, but they are
arrogant.
Yes. Yes. And then when you come back,
when they know that they're a good catch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that has been the hardest part of dating, because when you have someone also that is I wouldn't say arrogant, but is confident in who she is as well, it comes off, there's like this clash. But it's like, you don't want to I'm not here to emasculate him and take him away from who he is as a man. I want him to be the man. I want him to be the leader, but we shouldn't let him take our, I shouldn't say not joy, but take who we are away in a struggle for us to show who we are, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Can you give me some advice on that?
So, one of the things, like I said, I have 3 girls, and then my youngest is a boy. He's 17. And so what I started noticing, one of the differences is, when I'm around him, I start seeing, his little buddies. Mm-hmm. And I start seeing the difference of the ones who had extremely involved fathers and grandfathers and uncles in their lives, compared to the boys that were around my son who did not.
Okay.
It started making me think really about this village of manhood that a lot of men don't have. And so a lot of women will say this, right? I ain't got time to be raising and teaching nobody. I ain't got time to be raising. And so what I always say to women is, when people grow up and they haven't had like that village of manhood to kind of, teach them how to honor themselves and honor the people that they engage with and deal with, they don't just magically learn it at 25. Right. Like, it's not like they wake up at 25 and they're mature and they're sound and they're emotionally, their emotional intelligence is in a good, it's in a good space. Right. And I'm not saying that we got to go and teach them. What I'm saying is that when you find yourself meeting men like that, who are clearly, you can tell they have not really been poured into by a whole lot of confident men. You know, there's a certain conversation you can have with them to be like, hey, so, you know, I noticed that you don't have a lot of uncles, a whole lot of male influence. I'm just wondering, as a woman, right? You know, let them educate you. I'm just wondering, as a woman, like, how do you think that that's affected you? Hopefully, if there's someone who's open and transparent, they're willing to talk about it, right? And now you guys can start to have these type of dialogues. If they shut you down with that conversation, girl, move on.
Okay. Thank you. That's good. Because I didn't think of that. Yeah, that's great. A great tool just to see how their upbringing was when it came to men. And that's what it is. It's like, and these are like, and I'm not saying a like boyfriend, I'm just talking about like a platonic friend, right? You see it then, and then when you decide, you know what, I would much rather not even continue on with the friendship because it's this clash. Then they come back and they'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it that way. And now they have an understanding opposed to sitting around going back and forth. I refuse at this stage in my dating process to argue. I chuckle now. Now I laugh. I'm like, I'm not arguing. Like, is that, because I can be told that it's condescending. But is that a bad thing? Like, I don't want to argue, and I feel like couples, people, relationships, friendships, you can disagree, right? But I have to have the same friends for over 40 years, and I don't argue with them. Like, we don't argue, right?
Right.
So why do I have to argue with the guy that I'm dating? Like, I don't want to do that. So that makes me laugh, and I'm like, oh no. And I just don't want to deal with that. Like, is that something that you can work through, or is that something that you can say, you know what, don't just throw them away, but kind of work through it?
But that's why I said, you know, there's certain conversations you got to start having with people to really kind of figure out like what's going on and if it's worth the investment. Because like I said, the stuff that I'm trying to my best, you know, me and his dad, to pour into my son, one of the things is we recognize that he just needs some other men around him. You know, so he got a whole lot of uncles. He got a whole lot of uncles, you know, so that he can learn different elements about his manhood. And he can't just only explore that with his dad, you know, and even with me. For me, it's really about teaching him how to treat a woman. So when you start to talk to men that you feel like, you know, there's a disconnect or something's going on. And if they're willing to have these conversations about how they were raised and their relationships with their mom and their grandma and their uncles and the elders, you know, the men in their lives, then you might be able to get somewhere. But yeah, you probably shouldn't chuckle. I mean, you might want to chuckle on the inside, but I don't know about chuckling during the conversation, Maya. I don't know about that one. I think that might be like,
it has not been good. Yeah. And so I've been doing really bad at it, and I'm trying to work at it. I was like, you might want to ask if that's the right thing to do, because it's not working. But I'm like, yeah. So dating. So with that, I know that I'm trying to figure out, just let women know that it's okay to be yourself on a date. So like in your way of dating, you've been off the market for some years now, but you know now the world is highly sexualized, right? And there's like no rules now when it comes to dating. You have your own moral compass with inside, right? What do you think is too much on a date?
So, you know, I feel like before you go out with somebody, you need to determine if this is a fill a need or something that you want to pursue in the future. Okay. I think for women, we need to make that decision, right? Yes. Because women have needs as well. So it's like, are you filling a need? And if you are, be honest with yourself. So, yeah. Or are you looking for something in the future? I think that's a decision you need to make before you engage with somebody. So at that point, that would determine, you know, if it's too much or too little. Yes. If you're feeling a need, I mean, I guess you're just going to go all in. But if you're looking for some future, if you're looking for future, then you kind of want to start having some conversation along with, laughing and joking. So you want to have a nice mix. I actually really think that dinner is probably like one of the most boring first dates.
Hello.
I think maybe going bowling, skating, going on a hike, having a picnic.
Right.
I think sitting down and only sharing a meal is like boring as hell. Mm-hmm. You don't get to know nothing about that person. Right. Everybody has their dinner look or their lunch look or their brunch look. I want to be with you somewhere where I get to see all of you. I want to see the whole person. Like if I was single right now, that's something I would ask myself, Wendy, are you feeling a need or are you looking for future? Yeah. And then from there, I would make the decision. But my dates would not just be us consuming a meal. We're going to have to do something more because I just really got to get to know who you are. And people are more open when they're having fun.
Yes. That is, you chuckle me. You say the right stuff. Like, we need to hear that because, back in the day it was like, you go on a date and you act like a lady, which you still do, act like a lady, and you don't do this and you don't do that. And you get closed off in this box as you get older. And now you remember how you were 25 years ago, but times have changed.
Right.
And so now you're like not exploring and experiencing the way life is because you're afraid to be stigmatized or even beat yourself up because of this newfound freedom. But I think that you saying that, giving us the option, us the option to feel a need or to be with somebody that you think that you could explore with in the future. So we're almost out of time, and I promised you that I wasn't going to keep you over. I wanted to thank you and acknowledge you for coming on despite your family illness situation. I appreciate you for taking the time to even come on and be open emotionally. Before you go, can you give us the information on the Healing House and tell us how we can find you on social media?
So on social media, my Instagram is Therapy by Wendy Witmore. Facebook, it's just Wendy L. Witmore. None of my pages are private, so you could just find me and follow me. The Healing House, Wendy's Life Wellness Healing House, is located at 1060 East Foothill, Suite 204, Upland, California. You can also email me at truthhealingevolution@gmail.com, or you can shoot me a text, 909-576-5431.
Question.
You can reach me on multiple levels.
Yeah, we can find you. And then you guys can look at the show again and get our information. I have a question though for you. Are you guys doing virtual therapy? Are you open for business if people wanted to utilize the space? Talk about that.
So right now, for group therapy and individual therapy, it's still telehealth. Okay. I had COVID back in March and it was absolutely devastating. And so that's just my comfort level for right now.
Okay, yeah.
But I have a Zen space called the Reset Room. And that is right now where groups of no less than 3, no more than 8 can book time up to 2 hours in the Reset Room. We have fully loaded, heated, full body massage chairs. I love a good rocking chair. They come with Bluetooth headphones. I have a tea bar, my own blend of tea called Sip and Heal. Awesome. All the teas at the tea bar are Black-owned tea companies. Hands of Sage, shout out to them for blending up and creating Sip and Heal for me. And Just Be Tea Company is also the teas that are featured there. I have an egg chair. I mean, like, if you guys go on Therapy by Wendy Witmore, you will see what the Reset Room is. And everybody needs to reset. Sometimes you need to start your day by resetting and hitting the pause button. You need to end your day, or you just need to reset in the middle of the day. But the Reset Room, we are taking group bookings, again, for no less than 3, no more than 8, for up to 2 hours. So that is in person. But because you're with your group, you're with your own little pod.
That's awesome. I'm actually going to look into that. I'll be in contact, maybe do something there. That'd be awesome. That is definitely radical self-care right there. So before we go, is there anything else you want to talk to us about loving our flaws? The one thing that I want you ladies to remember,
I mean, just people in general, but I know your show is more geared towards women.
Yes.
But I think that when we start thinking about loving our flaws and embracing them, what we have to remind ourselves is that we're worth being loved. And so to embrace your flaws and to love your flaws means that you are making the decision to love your whole self.
Amen to that. Thank you. You told
You're
me
welcome.
something. I was saving this to tell you. You told me something, and you said it feels good to be chosen.
Yes.
That is, I'm going to leave it with that. We all want to be chosen, right?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, my love. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being transparent and showing up despite your own emergency. Appreciate you. Good luck to you in your endeavors, and we'll see each other again very soon.
All right, y'all. Love and blessings. Have a great rest of your day.
Peace, love.
Bye.
Yay! All right, guys. Thank you again for tuning in to A Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. Again, I'm your host. I forgot to tell you in my opening because I was so excited that I just want to let you know, reiterate my goal is to touch, move, and inspire you to live the life that you've been given to live. So continue to tune in with me as I show you how to love and live through adversity, and most importantly, how to never give up. Okay? Find me on Facebook, Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast, and then on Instagram it's spelt the way it sounds, and on Instagram it's Girlfriend Guide to LYFE. I need your subscriptions and your likes. We appreciate you. Love and blessings. See you in 2 weeks. Peace.